This is Development Network TV's podcast. Hi everyone, welcome to Development Network Television Environment Focus with me, Vincent Samuel. My guest today on the program is Town Planner Dr. Tpl Adamu. Dr. Tpl Adamu is a lecturer with the Nasarawa State University Department of Urban and Regional Planning. He is also the chairman, Nasarawa State chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners and one-time aspirant for the House of Representatives for Nasarawa and Toto Federal constituency. Doctor is glad to have you on the program today.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Well, Doctor, let's get started. Well, as you are aware, Nasarawa State is one of the 6 states that was created by former military head of state, late General Sani Abacha, on October 1st, 1996. Well, following the creation of the state, the population has grown from a little over 1 million to about 3 million persons today. The state has enjoyed 2 military administrators as well as 4 civilian governors. The growth in population has been accompanied by, growth in towns, villages, as well as cities. The state has 2 agencies of government that is saddled with the responsibility to monitor the growth of these, cities and towns in order to ensure that they are, in such a way that they will support healthy living, comfort for the people. The Urban Development Board, as well as the Nasarawa Geographical Information Service, NAGIS. These 2 agencies are, saddled with the responsibility to ensure proper town planning. Well, at this point, Doctor, I would like to, draw your attention to looking at the way and manner these cities in Nasarawa have grown. To your mind, would you say that cities such as Lafia, Akwanga, and Keffi, have grown the way they ought to have grown? And these agencies, Nasarawa Urban Development Board, as well as the Nasarawa Geographical Information System, have they served their functions? Well, I wouldn't want to box you to a corner, but let me get your take on this quickly.
Okay, thank you so much for having me and for these interesting perspectives. It shows actually that you have at least a sizable in-depth knowledge of Nasarawa State, because I can see that you chronologically ordered your question from its creation out of Plateau State. You agree with me that Nasarawa State was what was formerly called the Lower Plateau. And it is the Lower Plateau that metamorphosed into what is now Nasarawa State. As you rightly said, General Abacha on the 1st October 1996, through a decree, declared it a state among 5 others that were created across the country. The development of Nasarawa State and several administrations, narrowing our narrowscoping that to our settlement development, actually clearly that yes, we have been increasing in terms of our numerical strength from the natural order of birth and married through marriages and births and all of that. But there's a new dimension to the population growth of Nasarawa State and as well the settlement growth in Nasarawa State. Is highly linked to its strategic location within the Committee of States of Nigeria. Nasarawa State is the gateway to the nation's capital, especially these regions of this country. You have even south. So it's an en route to about 3 others, and as such, its strategic location, immigration. People come from different parts of the country, and they have to they have dealings with the Federal Capital Territory, and you agree with me that the premium value over land within the precinct of what is known Capital Territory, it's higher compared to that within Nasarawa State. And the system, Federal Capital, the political challenges, the administration land has made Nasarawa State option for so many people who now find a place to live in Nasarawa State and work in the FCT. This is one of the major push factors towards the growth and development of many communities in Nasarawa State, especially those communities that are bordering the federal capital. But this is not the only factor during the development of towns and communities in Nasarawa State. No. Of recent, regional imbalances that led to insecurity, especially in the northeast region and some part of the southwestern states of Nigeria. That trigger factor, people are looking for safe havens, and coming closer to the FCT means that you have higher security, because I don't know, it's a lot connected to that, because people find peace because they felt that being far away, there is no preemptive measures by the government in terms of securing their lives and livelihood, and as such, it's better they come closer to the seat of power. And you will agree with me that the states that are surrounding the FCT enjoy better security compared to those states that are far away, especially within the northern region. This is another factor that is actually aiding to the growth and development of towns and communities in Nasarawa State. And you will see the population growth like you promulgated or projected, showing that from paltry about 1.something million, now the state is gasping around 5 to 6 million population. It's just that we are still waiting for the new national census to establish the actual data, so that we can use it as a basis of projection and discussion. Having established that, what have been the role of this successive government and administration? Two military regimes, actually. The group captain Ibrahim, who was the first civilian governor, and Colonel Mohammed Bala Mande was the second military administrator, and the third person was the first executive governor elected, that is His Excellency Tpl Adamu. After him, we have Aliyu Akwedoma. After Akwedoma, we have Tanko Kolmakura. After Tanko Kolmakura, now we have Engineer A. Suli. This successive administration, about 6 of them, one will be wondering what has been their focus in terms of these drives that we have chronicled, in terms of the growth of population and the expansion of our communities. In fact, we have seen communities that hitherto were villages transformed into towns, and those that are towns are becoming more of cities. You agree with me that the communities that are scattered around Kauru, previously before now, were mere villages, and that's why till today you will hear the name like one-man village, and now you find out where is the village in the one-man village. It's now a bigger city. You see, but in terms of administration, in managing the growth and development of cities, this is where planning comes in. And planning is a tool that is very okay. Yes. One thing is that planning is largely a public sector tool for organizing settlements. Because when you look at the Constitution of Nigeria and the laws establishing how we live and govern ourselves, you find out that the huge component of settlement development, organization, administration is heavily decided in the Constitution favoring the public sector. When I mean the public sector, I'm talking about the government. And in the government, you agree with me, in Nigeria, we have at least 3 distinctive tiers of government: the federal, the state, and the local. Within this sphere, the Land Use Act, which is highly recognized by the Constitution, demonstrated clearly where the responsibilities of administering the growth and development of settlements lie. In fact, more than 70% of the land use hour to the states. And you know that the state of state governments, governors, is only allowed to manage land within the territory. Even federal government, to assess land within the states, it has to apply to the state governor. In the case of Lagos state government versus the federal government between 2003 and 2007, when the Republic Adamu was the executive governor of Lagos state. He went to court to challenge the federal government of the Land Use Act on who is responsible for land and the decision with recent of a clear, distinctive judgment that responsibility of the state government the use of land. However, the resources of the land is the government. As such, you will have seen that from our laws, it's well established where this responsibility lies. I chronicle this so that you give us a good picture of what we are dealing with. Now, what have been the role of the previous administrations in Nasarawa State till this moment in terms of the growth and development of our settlements? You will have seen that if you are a passerby or a resident of Maraba, Nasarawa, Keffi, Garaku, and the rest of it, you will have seen that yes, these are communities that are attracting huge population, good investment that are unsolicited for, but it seems like there is no planning going on. There is not much of infrastructure work going on. What is happening? Looking at this, I presented a review of Northern Planners seminar that held last Saturday, where we presented that we were the responsibility of state, because whoever controls the use of land determine how to order it. It requires political will. There have been some government required backing. This requires funding. This requires support and coordination. The Nasarawa State Urban Development Board, which is an agency of government, is with managing the development and growth of our towns and cities. However, the state of that board today is the zonal offices. When you go and see the level of infrastructure decay and the absence of equipment, the absence of manpower, funding, the knowledge I have of planning is, well, planning brings money. We use this as a determinant of the economy. When you accept planning, you accept wealth. That is what I'm saying. And when you reject it, you embrace poverty. And clearly, you will have seen distinctively in Nigeria, every state that accepts planning, you see that it's a prosperous state. Every state that rejects planning, you will see that its neighbor is poverty. Distinctively, you can see in Federal Capital Territory. Previously, before the decision to establish the capital territory, they were just scattered villages. Even if you are given 200 hectares of land, you'll be wondering, what do I need this for? It has no value to you. But the decision to plan a new city brought in the prime value of rent that is now attached to the land. If I take you through the factor of the land as a factor of production, you understand that it's a critical basic for the economy. Land as a factor of production. If you want to establish a factory, the first thing you have to start thinking, where am I locating it? What land is most feasible for it? If I want to build a house, I can't build a house on top of a pin. I have to build a house on land. If I want to establish a hospital, where will I establish a hospital? A hospital has to be established on a land. If I want to build a school, we don't build schools on top of streams. No, technology can help us to achieve that where it is obvious that we have to do that. But the first priority will be land. So land is a basis for production. And the people that are responsible for ordering the use of land is planning and planners. But they cannot achieve the result that is expected of them of the society without the public sector, because the powers to do is vested in the hand of government. So this shows clearly that for every community to grow effectively, planned, efficient, the government must give it its back. And let me tell you.
Hold on, Doctor. Okay, go ahead. Just conclude on your thought quickly. Conclude on your thoughts.
Okay. What I'm saying is, it is not the absence of planners. It is not the absence of people that have the technical know-how. It is actually the absence of quality leadership that can support and drive this process.
Well, thank you very much. You have actually stated clearly that the problem today, as we are faced with, is not the problem of that of planners. We have planners with capacity to help the government.
Yes.
And, looking at the time in which we are today, Doctor, we are in a very critical time right now, Dr. Adamu. A time wherein countries, nation states are looking for these resources to, meet up with quite a lot of developmental issues and social needs. And you have pointed out clearly with the case of FCT, how planning actually revolutionized, the value of land, and that actually led to the FCT generating so much IGR. Right now, the state, Nasarawa, is an adjoining state that is supposed to benefit from the revenue earning, although it is benefiting from the population boom, but it is not benefiting from the revenue angle. The issue now is, how then do we get these leaders? Hey, we have gold mine here. We need to tap from this gold mine. We don't need to begin to tax people here. There are opportunities in planning. Once I was discussing with somebody, and he said one unique feature about Nasarawa is that communities are left to create imaginary streets for themselves, imaginary sanitary lines and stuff like that. People where you have 10 by 10, people building houses on 10 by 10. How do we get these authorities to do the right thing?
Thank you so much. One of those is what we are already doing, this public engagement. And I so hope that these officials of government also listen and watch local news and local television so that we can harvest our knowledge locally. Like I said earlier on, it is not the absence of local manpower or skills or innovations, but it is actually the recognition that you have a value close home. Like you rightly say, FCT is making so much out of its own planning activities and agenda. Nasarawa being an adjoining state, what are you doing? In fact, this is what we can easily term as a resource cost. Resources, when you have them available, are supposed to be a blessing. The population that is now residing in Nasarawa ought to be a blessing. But when a blessing is turned a curse, then it begins to raise questions like this that you are pointing out. If Nasarawa State government would be proactive enough, you can learn some lessons by clean observation. Have you looked at the corridor of Chikwe, Kurudu, Orozo? Those are boundary communities with Nasarawa State. In this corridor that I just mentioned, if you are going to do your enumeration of estates that are springing up almost on a daily basis along that road, then there are hundreds. And these are privately driven government estates. Can pump in billions and make something out of it. And all they do is previously are second to only ages in Nigeria. Yes. What does Najis do? Go to the local communities, get your customer to the local government, come to the state documents, and you convert it and you pay them. With a big chunk of land that is at its lowest premium value, you develop it and you say there is going to be streets, there are going to be street lights, there are going to be facilities. You are building self-sufficient housing. They introduce and they go on to your television stations to market these ideas, and people come in tripping into their offices to pay in huge money. On the long run, when you see the overall cost of accessing land and processing land, it's less than 15% cost of the production, because they are also in the housing production process. And before you know, they are smiling to the banks with so much money. But then you wonder, if private individuals see the value in the land that the Nasarawa State holds and manages for the people, that is not able to drive the process. Individuals drive this process and learn, and they smile to the banks, but the state cannot smile to the bank. That tells you something is wrong somewhere. And that these estates are not just stopping. No, people are acquiring day by day large chunks of land. That tells you that this is a profitable venture. And as such, the state should be thinking or putting on her thinking cap. If you cannot do it, governance can be done by different mechanisms. Governance can be done by government itself. Governance can be done through the market, and governance can be done through networks. If I were to take us through the school of governance, you understand that the governors that call them today understand this scheme. If government through her agency will pick and develop the housing and sell to the people and invite people to come and subscribe. If government feels the power we have within our confine cannot run this sufficiently, the fear of corruption, the fear of politics will infiltrate it. Governance can be done through market. And you bring in the market, you invite them as strategic partners and ask them, okay, it's filters, you alone. But we are invited into a Nasarawa State investment, and we develop a large chunk of a sub-city or a new city, at the precinct of the Federal Capital Territory, because that's the advantage that we have. And we offer cheaper value, that's what is attractive. And the fact that the proximity is there, you can easily get into the Abuja and get out quickly. You prepare the plan, market it, and now you sell the chunks with higher premium value of this land to private developers to now build to fit in towards making it an organized sub-city. But what is happening now is that everybody is just picking a chunk of land, preparing his own, independent, and there's no coordination between one estate and the other. And if your estate is behind another estate, your route cannot go through this other estate. You have to start generating a new road that will connect, thereby extending the cost of infrastructure. Yes, it's a large innovation growing without coordination. Partly find out that it become a functional city. No, it will not become a functional city, but a patch of, what we call gated communities. And it's not going to function very well. That's what is happening around the corridor of Nasarawa State.
Well, Doctor, yes, you have actually raised the issue, the fact that it cannot be a functional city, and this is a major challenge. We have very limited time left on this session. But quickly, the issue here right now is there are people who have been assigned to do a work.
Exactly.
Whether we like it or not, whether the staff strength in the ministry, the agencies are insufficient is a different ballgame. But the people engaged, what are they doing? And as an institution, interestingly, you are the chairman of the Nasarawa State chapter of Nigerian Institute of Town Planners.
Exactly.
Of course, what engagement have you been, embarking on so far to get those who have been assigned to do their job? Because the issue here is there's a difference between inadequate job and not even doing anything entirely. Because I don't know, would you say they're doing something?
Okay, thank you so much. I think this breaks the camel's back quickly. Very nice one. I love this. Since 2021, around October, I took over the leadership of the Nigerian Institute of Town. Institute is not a parastatal of government, but a pressure group that is a professional body. Yes, we have the responsibility as a professional body to put the government on its toes and to make sure that the right things are done. Quickly, let me chronicle what we have done. On immediately. The Nigerian Urban and Regional Planning Law, part of the amended Constitution, 1999 Constitution, 2004, which is in the exclusive, is in the concurrent list of the Constitution. What that means is that the state government has its right to do its own as it wish, and the federal government has its own component to do as it so wish. And for us, we have been pushing it from the professional ground that every state should domesticate the urban and regional planning law. We pursued that because my predecessor, Town Planner Ahmed Ubangari, he has also pursued at a point and he handed over to me. I pursued that graciously to its logical conclusion that by October 2021, Nasarawa State now House of Assemblies signed into law the Nasarawa urban and regional plan. That's one of the first pedestal upon establishing, because where there is no law, there's no framework of which to call what they call Nasarawa State Urban Development Law. This new law that was in 2021 October, repealed the old law by organizing how we aggregate communities of Nasarawa State, plan them, the agencies that will manage them, and all of that. Graciously, the executive governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer A.A. Sule, signed that bill into law in December 2021. And we have been engaging with the state government to say, okay, now it has been signed into law, and we understand that it was even gazetted under the office of the Secretary to the State Government. But however, till this moment, as I'm speaking to you, the state government could not proceed further to implementing the law in the first instance, because the law established what is going to be called the Nasarawa Urban Development Agency, NUDA, which will be saddled with the responsibility of organizing the development and control of towns around Akwanga zone, that's the Nasarawa North Senatorial District, and Nasarawa South Senatorial District, that's the Lafia zone. However, the Keffi zone, which is the Nasarawa West, starting from Kokona local government, Keffi local government, Karu local government, Nasarawa local government, and Toto local government. These are five local government that bound the FCT. So And it is, the law established what is now called Greater Karoo Area Planning and Development Control Agency. I hope you are getting me. And a board is supposed to superintend over these two agencies: the NUDA for Akwanga and Lafia Zone, and the Greater Karoo Area Plan and Development Control Agency for Western Zone, to be coordinated by what is called the Nasarawa State Urban and Regional Planning Board, which will be chaired by a chairman.
Well, it seems our network is really not.
By a managing director and the chairman reports to the governor. It's for a managed city, the appointment of the board so that they can start running. A limitation towards taking this step. And since December 2021 till September 2023, there have not been money enough to kickstart. That is on the side of the law. On the side of the personnel, there have been that push. And recently, the Nasarawa State Urban, unfortunately, since that law has not been implemented, Nasarawa Urban Development Board, which the law signed in 2021 had repealed, is still the one active. You see the complication there? The agency that a new law had repealed is the one that is active. The one that the law has been signed is not active. Complication left for the Ministry of Justice and Government House to deal with. Here we are on the side of the personnel. We have pushed on it because we realize that in planning school, we are taught politics in planning and politics of planning, because politics and planning go hand in hand. Because we account for the same terrain. The politician decides where projects will go, what money will be released for what project. But the planners have the basic skill in determining where projects should be, because we know where we decide what land use issues, what use will be allocated to a land in particular place, and how and when. And as such, oftentimes we come at crossroads with each other. So we began to push that, okay, some of us even begin to join this political process, so that we can even influence and educate politicians when we are in the same table. And I will tell you graciously that we make attempt, and even me speaking to you, I make attempt, joining the political system, but you agree with me, it is not an easy task. It's a very difficult terrain. One of us who was the SA to the Governor of Development Control, today has been appointed, is the commissioner, the Honorable Commissioner for Lands and Urban Development last month. We were there at his swearing in, Tpl Adamu. So now we are beginning to see that, okay, we have made little attempts, so that we begin to influence the decision making and all of that, to bring to the border of the decision makers at the Executive Council meeting to say, see, let's bring professional knowledge. If we stay at the side, we are not able to do, and we are complaining, why don't we also get into the sitting table so that we can begin to have opportunity to chip in? And I will tell you that we are already developing a scheme, to make sure that the new Commissioner for Land and Urban Development Board, who is a planner, we are going to hold him tight and make sure that we pressure him to also pressure the State Executive Council to begin to pick the issues of planning. And I will tell you one thing is that I understand.
Dr. Daniel, I will have to cut you. I will have to cut you here. Dr. Dan, thank you. I will have to cut you here. Time is really not our friend. We hope to do this some other time so that we could get better insight into this issue.
Well, Doctor, thank you for your contribution on this show today. We do hope to have you some other time on the program. Well, as you are aware, I've been speaking with Dr. Daniel Adamu. Dr. Daniel Adamu is a lecturer with the Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Nasarawa State University. well, this is where we call it a wrap on the program. Remember that you can also be part of this program. All you need to do is join the conversation by logging on to our website www.developmentnetworktv.com. You can also stay connected via our socials. The handle is Dev Network TV for Facebook, YouTube, as well as we have a unified handle. Development Network Television is where we talk science and promote development. We'll see you some other times next time on the show. Do have a great day. Bye-bye.